Alright, first off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word on sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom. This is the brother R1 from James Jamaica camp. Come with another quick lesson, and this is somewhat of an update or somewhat of a trend. And these the leaders all around the world, whether it be the politicians, whether it want to be the superstars or the rich and famous, the stars of this so-called world, like the Jay-Z's, the Beyoncé's, the Obamas, the you name it, the all these big names, getting our people are signing up to say, go ahead and follow the guidelines of this pandemic, and take their medication, you know if you know what I'm talking about, well, you should know what I'm talking about as it pertains, that medication that comes with a needle. That's the main thing that's been pushed right now, and a lot of people are resistant, especially out here in Jamaica, no matter how the politicians, or Andrew Holness and which is the Prime Minister, and Christopher Tufton, they come on the news and they try to say, you will have to take it, we need to go to the new norm, and they keep forcing that medication, with the needle. So they just keep on pushing that, keep pushing that on our people. Now, one of the tactics that they are also using, which this tactic that once again is being used, all around the world, with the superstars, and prominent figures, is that they have two of the past prime ministers, two past prime ministers, which is PJ Patterson, Percival James Patterson, and Bruce Golden. They apparently took that medication with the needle recently, and according to them, they took it live, or they have record of them taking it. And now Andrew Holness and Tufton are saying that, look, they're not ready to take it, they're not going to take it just yet. But yet they have actually enrolled it in the country, and they start actually distributing that medication throughout the country, that same medication with the needle, right? And as they keep on putting that out there, then a lot of people are saying that, look, you need to take it first, and then you need to take that medication first, and then we will take it after. That's what they keep on saying, and they're saying that it doesn't matter if they take it first or not. The populace needs to take it. Now, I'm saying all of this to say that this, they acting to take it. I strongly believe that the leaders and those who are set up as a front, I don't believe that they're taking that medication. Secondly, if they do come live and saying that they're actually taking that medication with the needle, I believe that it is I believe that it's not the actual medication with the needle. It's just a subversion tactic, and it has been used on us, our people, the Israelites, before. But the only difference is the person that they tried to do it with refused, because they knew very well that even acting as if they are with the agenda and everything could lead a lot of our people to their death, as it pertains to crossing the Most High, who would judge them, Yahweh, and it's going to come down to it, especially when it comes down to getting the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip. When it comes down to them getting that as well, because the medication with the needle is not the RFID, is not the mark of the beast, right? But even when it comes down to that, that's going to be the next step, further on down the line. And these people are going to set up people to either act as if they take it, and then some people are going to actually take it. But for now, the medication with the needle, it's going to lead to a lot of deaths, it's going to lead to a lot of injuries, and I don't believe that they're actually taking it for themselves. I believe that the powers that be are letting them know that, look, Maybe it's really not safe and you don't have to take it, but at least act as if you take it. That will be sufficient, because guess what? It's about motivating the general public, right? And some of these accounts that I'm making, you can go ahead and look up articles on them with Jamaica Gleaner, Jamaica Observer. The information is there. This chapter is a bit long, and been talking for a while now, so I just want to get straight into the scripture. Maybe even going a bit fast, because as I said, it's a big chapter. So let's go ahead and get this example and see how these leaders are definitely sending these people to their deaths. But if they actually go ahead and do that, then they'll be judged from Yahweh Shem Yahushai, even though they may escape Esau, the so-called white man's hands for now, right? So Second Maccabees chapter 6, and I'll start at verse 7. It says, "And in the day of the king's birth, every month they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices, and when the fast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession of Bacchus carrying ivy." And this is it, this whole agenda, with this pandemic, is actually a part of, if you do the history and the research, you see that it's linked to idolatry. You see it's linked with hospice. The brother the elder Yeshua did the breakdown on Antipas, and which is in Revolution 1 of the church. I think it's Pi something Salakia, if I'm not remembering it right now, but it's one of those churches. The churches that the church that is referred, that Antipas was a part of. How they were rejecting the medical, the so-called medical standard at the time with the pseudoscience and everything. And as I said, you have Operation, what was that, Escapulus, or some, I don't remember fully what it was, but there was a Operation Escapulus, if I'm not mistaken, and there was another one in regards to zoo something another, which goes back to it's slipping right now, which goes back to the people, and it's all surrounded with idolatry. The brother Yeshua did a lesson on it. Just not remembering the full details right now, but the key point is that all of the things that is being done is linked to idolatry. And even one of those wicked elites also said that they will use medicine to destroy the spirit, because believe it or not, these things actually affect your spirit. A bad body gives a host a bad spirit, but if you have a good spirit, if you have a good body, it helps to host a good spirit. So these things actually affect you spiritually as well, believe it or not, right? So moving on, it says verse 8 says, "Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices." And this is definitely a sacrifice, because with that medication, with the needle, a lot of people will be put to death, right? A lot of people are dying of it as well, right? Believe it or not. Verse 9 says, "And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery." Right? So you see that, the persecution is coming for those who will not come in line. Right? So they will threaten, these penalties will definitely come into play. But there's going to be a subversion tactic they're going to try to use. Right? Verse 10 says, "For there were 2 women brought, whom had circumcised their children, whom when they had openly led round about the city, the babies handing at their breasts, they cast them down headlong from the wall." Right? And once again, the persecution is coming, so you're going to lose your kids. They may even give that medication to your kids, mess your kids up, mess you up. Ultimately, who to tell? You don't know how far this madman will go, as he keeps on increasing the penalties. But just know that a severe persecution is coming. Right? It says, "And others also, of our own people, will even fight to protect the system, because they want to go back to their new norm according to them. So anyone that's not, following, they're going to actually turn on us and persecute us." right? It says, and others that had run together into caves nearby, they kept the Sabbath day secretly, being discovered by Philip, were all burnt together because they had made a conscience to help themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. All right. So once you're gonna stand by the Bible, we can't even speak the Bible anymore on YouTube as it pertains to bringing out these prophecies. Because as soon as you bring out these prophecies and link them with what's going on, your video gets flagged. Everything gets strike. And that is why I say the medication with the needle, because I'm actually trying to see if this will work as it pertains to going around the algorithm. Right. It says Right, and now I beseech those that read this book. I'm going to jump down a bit. Because there's actually a point. Right, so let's jump at verse 18. It says, Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man of a well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. So they got someone of prominence. They got a prominent figure and wanted to use him as an example as to to persuade the people, because remember they had the penalties if you did not do it, which was what the cause to put them to death. But then they tried to also another the stick and the carrot. So they tried to use this man as a carrot, right? It says of a well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth and came of his own accord to the torment, as it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things, and as are not lawful for love of life to be tasted. Exactly, and that's the thing. If you're gonna love your life and adhere with these guidelines and these principles, that they're bringing forth, which means that you would have to, go against the doctrine of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, going against everything that is righteous, and choosing Esau, the so-called white man, as your master, ultimately taking the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. Then guess what? It is likened unto this, and believe it or not, it is starting with that medication with the needle, right? Verse 21 says, but they that had charge of that wicked feast, for all acquaintances they had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat of the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king. And that is where you're gonna have, as it says, all countenance or all acquaintances, Salakia. So you might have, your somebody that you know in the world, or your uncle, your brother, your sister, your mother, someone that is quote unquote close to you, that's done with the system, and we say, hey, you don't need to be extreme, your religion is this, forget that, don't try follow that Bible foolishness, or leave that Israelite thing, why die for something, can you see the kingdom? Have you ever seen this God? People have been saying this and that for all these years. They will come and then they'll say, all right, even if you want to hold firm to your beliefs, at least act as if you do this, or act as if you do that. Because that's what they did right here. They were saying, look, eat off the lawful thing that you have of your own provision, but just act as if you're actually, with the whole thing. And I feel like this is what is being presented, to these prominent figures, these politicians and everyone, that maybe even sketchy themselves, but, they have to please master. So, hey, Esau, that cunning bastard, you might say to them that, look, hey, to be honest, it's messed up, but you don't have to take it. You just have to act as if you take it. You'll be fine. We just need them to take it. And believe me, these sellers will actually do that. And they'll also, as you can see here, they use people of our own nation that were a part that signed over, because they were in charge of this wicked feast. So they will also use our own people to do it. That is why they use the pastors, that 422 million budget that they got, they're going to use it for campaigning. So, the pastors going to get piece of it, the schools, the hospitals, the politicians, the police, the this, the that, and, the stars and everybody. If you're thinking worldwide, these international artists like Jay-Z, Rihanna, Beyonce, the well-knowns, That is why every time you see a news, oh, Tom Hanks, this artist, took the medication, that artist took the medication, you know, they actually used our people, that are over on their side, right? And they will want you to, they do what? They make them to pretend, because they're going to try to use them to subvert the masses. And you really have people saying that, look, I'm not going to take it unless the Tufton and Oldness take it first. For me, whether or not them take it first, last, in the middle somewhere, I don't care. Right? So like, yeah, through the spirit and power of your heart, shy, not taking that shit. Excuse my French. Right? So moving on, it says, verse 22 says that in doing so, he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor. So basically they're saying, look, get on our good sides. Verse 23 says, but he began to consider discreetly, and as became his age, and the excellency of his ancient years, and the honor of his grey head, whereon was come, and his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by the Most High. Therefore he answered accordingly, and willed them straightways to send him to the grave. And that's the thing, he thought on it, and he thought of his honor, his true honor. It says the excellency of his ancient years, he knew the right thing. And he knew that this was actually selling out his people, because it's going to explain, the fact that he didn't want to stumble the generations to come. He didn't want to stumble his own people. And guess what? These politicians don't have this mindset. Andrew Holness was making a conference like the other day, that he even had to retract the statement and try to print it up like he's saying that, look, people are saying that they won't do this and they won't that. They say you're gonna have to comply. And he limited it to wearing masks and social distancing. But guess what? That medication was in his thoughts as well. You could see it, right? So, if they don't follow this example, then believe that they're going to put they're leading a lot of people to their deaths, right? Verse 24 says, for it become not our age, said he, in any wise to dissemble. I'm going to look up the word dissemble. It means to act, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being 80 years old and 10, which was what, 90, right, were now gone to a strange religion. Exactly, he won't be saying that, he gone to the other side. And so they, through mine hypocrisy and desire to live a little time and a moment longer, should be deceived by me, and I get a stain to mine old age and make it abominable. Right? And that's the thing, he didn't want to deceive his people. He did not want to send them astray to say that, you can follow off of my example and make this and make this choice. Right? Because he says that, he would have been saved for a moment. Right? It says, for though the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men. So, Oldness, Tufton, all these other people that they're using as scapegoats, you may be delivered from the punishment of Esau. It says, yet shall I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead. And that is true. Right? It says, wherefore now, manfully changing this life, I will shew myself such as one as mine age required. And that's the thing. He was a true leader. And as leaders, you leaders should be willing to die for your people, being in that prominent position. That's one of the traits of a leader, to really let his people know the truth and stand up for what is right, even if it costs you your life. But guess what? You people have been exploiting Jamaican populace and Jamaican citizens for so many years that you don't care. So this definitely doesn't apply until at least you repent and do the right thing. Right? It says, and leave a notable example to such as be young to die willingly and courageously for that honorable and holy laws, that when he had said these words, immediately he went to the torment. Exactly. So he's saying that, look, I'm leaving a good example. Don't take this BS. This don't do this. This is all BS. And I strongly believe that you politicians know that it's all BS, but you just have to play by Esau's game. Right? It says, and it says, they that led him changing the good will they bear him a little more. Salakia, let me just check that. Then it says, they that led him, changing the good will, they bear him a little before into hatred, because the foresaid speeches proceeded, as they thought, from a desperate mind. And that's the thing, they hated him for what he said, because what? They got cut. And that is why these politicians don't like when we come out and speak. Right? It says, but when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, it is manifest unto the Lord that had the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in the body by being beaten, but in soul am I well contented to suffer these things, because I fear him. And thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of unnotable courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation. And that's the thing. As I say, it starts with this medication with the needle, but this will definitely be applied to the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast as well. All right. So this isn't the first time this tactic, this subversion tactic, has been used, where you get prominent figures to act as if they are with the system. There's even a documentary on the Spanish flu where they also were saying that these prominent figures had took their medication, which they didn't know anything about it, or they had the Spanish flu when they didn't. And then you even had one prominent figure that I think they gave her the medication, and it had her crippled and messed her up for a couple of years, right? And believe me, this medication with the needle has a lot of side effects, and a lot of people are being killed. And it's straight up wicked and evil, and the things that are in it shouldn't be even going in our bodies anyway. So hey, do not take it, yo. Do not take this medication. Do not take this medication. Alright? And do not take the mark of the beast either. So so pray for that spirit, and I pray that if it's a case that it's coming. When the persecution come, I pray Yahweh Shem Yashai, give me the spirit of Eliezer, to stand up for his truth unto death, to strive unto the truth for the death, and that's the mindset that we need to have. All right. So hey, we see this tactic, and who is for the Lord will be for the Lord, and who is for the world will be of the world. All right. But this isn't the first time that this tactic has been used, and we know. All right. So that I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Shem Yahushai, Bashem Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word now, sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps, the hopeful elect. Shalom.